I've made videos as far west as Port Clinton and as far east as Geneva on the Lake. But what I haven't made any videos on so far is east of Cleveland, but not quite as far as Geneva on the Lake. And this is Geauga County. And in today's video, we are going to dive deep. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Living in Cleveland. I'm Patty sells CLE, and I make videos about all things Northeast Ohio, Northwest Ohio, and even down south. You know the drill. If you don't want to miss any of my videos, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, please. I would appreciate it, and leave a comment. I love reading and responding to your comments. Okay, Geauga County. I've not done any videos on Geauga County, which is surprising because my mother grew up in Geauga County and my grandmother lived in Munson Township, which is in Geauga County, until she passed away just a few years ago, and we had to sell her property, which was super, super sad because my whole entire life, her house was so special to all of us. So Geauga County, I'm just going to do a brief overview of the entire county. And then the next couple of videos, I'm going to dig deeper into some of the towns in Geauga County. So Geauga County, it's 30 miles east of Cleveland. So not too far if you're looking to get away from the city. And Geauga County is mostly rural. So if you're looking, you want to spread out, you want some land, maybe you want a big garden, Geauga County is the place to go. Also, if you like snow, go to Geauga County. It is home of the snow belt. And, you know, in the winter months on the TV screen, when you're seeing, you know, if your kids' schools are going to get canceled, always it's the towns in Geauga County, Chesterland, Chardon, Burton. Those school districts are usually always get more snow days than anywhere else. And it's kind of because the way the lake is, Lake Erie, which is on top of Ohio, the winds come, the storms come southeast, and it just, the way it just hits perfectly in Geauga County. So when I was growing up, going out to my grandparents' house, I mean, and once it snowed, like the snow stayed, and my grandparents had 10 acres in Geauga County, and they would have a snowplow. And my grandpa, because they had a barn, they had a huge garden. I mean, they had all kinds of stuff. And my grandpa would take a snowplow and make trails to the barn so they could feed the chickens or whatever they had back there, to a separate garage building on top of their attached garage. So just all over the places they would need to go on the property, he would, because the snow was like 2 feet deep. It was crazy, and it stayed like that. So if you like snow, that's the place to go. So Geauga County, it's like one of the best places. This is like number 4 in the country, a great place to raise your family. I know my mom and my aunt, they talk about being kids. And even though like on their street, they lived on Cedar Road, and each property was like 10 acres. So your houses were pretty far apart. But they talk about, you know, the kids on the street, and they would all play together. My grandparents had a big, huge pond in the front yard. And when they were kids, they made half of the pond into a swimming hole. I don't know how they did it. And the other half was just a regular pond. So they had a swimming pool. They chlorinated it. So they had swimming in their front yard. So yeah, it's rated one of the best places to raise a family. There's about 100,000 people that live in Geauga County. Let's see. Oh, another interesting thing is Geauga County is the #1 producer of maple syrup in all of Ohio. And that's a big deal. You'll see it in the news come March, you know, early April is when they produce the maple syrup. And that's probably because it is in the snow belt and they get such cold, cold winters. In fact, it's usually the week after Easter. It's one of the weekends in April. Chardon does this huge maple festival, and I used to go to it when I was a kid. It was always exciting. You'd get maple sugar candies, and you'd have pancakes with maple syrup on it. They'd have rides and stuff. It was a big deal. So maple syrup is big in Geauga County. It also has a huge Amish community. In fact, it's got the second largest community in the state of Ohio, and I'm not sure where's the #1 community. I'm gonna have to look that up. I should have looked it up. But it also is the 4th largest Amish community in the entire United States. So a lot of there's a lot of tourism. People go down, they like to go drive and look at Amish people. which if you've never been through an Amish community, there's a lot of etiquette of things you can do, you should do and do not do. Amish people do not like to get their pictures taken. You can take a picture from far away of their buggy. You know, they don't mind that as part of the landscape, but they do not want you going up to their face and taking pictures of them. So, you know, and you have to be very careful. There's always, every year there's a big accident with some car that hits the buggy because they're not paying attention. You got to be very careful when you're driving, you know, with the Amish buggies. Don't honk your horns because you're going to spook the horses. So there's that. But what is cool is a lot of places, they'll invite you into their home. In fact, gosh, it's been a long time ago, but a bunch of our friends, we drove out, we had reservations, and we went into an Amish home, and they cooked a dinner for us, which was really cool. It was all gaslit because there's no power. I mean, this food was to die for. It was unbelievable. We were so stuffed when we left. I don't think it was very good for you, but it was unbelievable food. So that's something that's cool to do. And there's all kinds of Amish shops and furniture. In fact, we get most of the homes that are built in this area, it's the Amish that build them. So that's kind of cool. So Amish community, it's very conservative, which isn't, being a rural country, that should not be very surprising. So it's very, very conservative. Also not very diverse. So if you're looking to move somewhere and you want diversity, Geauga County is not very diverse. In fact, niche.com rates all of Geauga County as an A. And the only thing it got dinged on was diversity. So that's that. Schools are excellent. The value for your home are excellent. The workability, I mean, just everything about Geauga County is rated A+, except for diversity. So there you go. So speaking of schools, there are 5 major school districts that serve all of Geauga County. And it's weird. And when you get into the rural areas, you have a little more townships. So like when I was growing up, we always said my grandparents lived in Chesterland. And it wasn't until I was like a teenager that I found out, well, yes, their mailing address is Chesterland, but they really live in Munson Township. And I'm like, what? I thought you lived in Chesterland. Well, that's just how it goes in the rural areas. So you have a lot of townships. Like my grandma on Cedar Road, she lived on her side of the street was Munson Township, and across the street was Newberry Township, and completely different school systems. And then you go around the corner, and even though you're like could be 3 houses away. One, I had a little friend across the street. She went to Newberry schools. Munson Township's part of Chardon schools. You go around the corner, and that's West Geauga schools. Crazy, but that's just how these rural areas work. So we have Berkshire schools, which is part of Burton, and Burton is home to the Geauga County Fair, which we went out there a couple weeks ago. I wanted to go to the fair. When I was growing up, we went to that fair every single year. It's on Labor Day weekend. It is the oldest fair in all of Ohio. I could not convince my husband to go because we had just gone to the Lorain County Fair, which I did a video on. But growing up, I mean, my grandma always had something in the fair. My aunt had her horses at the fair. My cousins grew up, you know, then 4-H because they grew up out that way. They went to Chardon schools. So going to the fair when I was a kid was all the way up till I was an adult. It was my grandma's birthday was September 4th, which was always Labor Day weekend. So every year we would take my grandma, go get lunch at Bell's in Burton, and then take her to the fair, which I was always like, why are we eating lunch at a restaurant when we are going to a fair with amazing fair food? But whatever. So my whole life going to the Geauga County Fair. So awesome. All right, so that's Burton, Berkshire schools. Then we have Cardinal schools, which is Middlefield, and Middlefield is where the Amish community is. So you have Chardon schools, which, like I said, included a bunch of townships. It's Clarendon, Hamden, and Munson Township. Then you have Kenston schools, which is part of Auburn Township and Bainbridge. And then you have West Geauga. They call it West G, which is Chesterland, Newberry, and a little part of Munson. So 5 major school districts, all top rated. And I'll get into them when I do these videos of each separate little town. It's also home to Hawken, which is kind of, it's in Gates Mills, but it's a very prestigious, wealthy, I think it's K to 12 school, day school, and Notre Dame Cathedral Latin, which is right around the corner off Mayfield Road. And Mayfield Road is one of the main drags you get to Geauga County, which is like, you have Mayfield, which is Geauga County. So you get off 271. I would get off at the Cedar Road exit. And we'd go, well, the Mayfield Road exit, and we would take Mayfield all the way out through Mayfield and then go Gates Mills. You go up this beautiful hill. It's hilly and beautiful. And it's the middle of September right now. And in about a month, the leaves are going to be stunning. It's also home. You go up Mayfield Road. It has a skiing resort, ski lodge. It's Alpine Valley, and I'm not a skier, but I like to go tubing. And when I was a Cleveland teacher, we would actually take, because it's not that far, we would take our students out there to go tubing. So really cool. In fact, when we went out a couple weeks ago, we stopped right next door to Alpine Valley. There's Fowler's Mill, and they actually make all kinds of flour and millet and all that sort of stuff. And you might even have it in your grocery stores. So that comes right there. And that's part of Munson. And also next to it is called the Brown Barn Restaurant. It's been a bunch of different things. And I'd never been to the restaurant. So we stopped. We were starving. Instead of getting fair food, we stopped at the Brown Barn, which was really cool. It was a beautiful place. We had happy hour. We had some wings that were delicious. So really cool place. And it's right across the street from the church where my grandmother was the organist, and my aunt and uncle got married there. And then my mom and my stepdad got married there. So lots of history in that church. It's a cute little white, what you would think of as a country church. I remember going there with my grandma. She would play the organ, and we would sit there and listen, and it was a whole thing. So I love Geauga County. It's close to my heart. I practically grew up there. I was at my grandparents' all the time. Just love it, love it, love it. I'm going to show you some glimpses of different roads and stuff. I'm not going to really go into where I was because I got to figure all that out. But in the next several videos, I'm going to just go into in depth, like Chesterland, Chardon, Burton, and so forth. So I hope you enjoy Geauga County. If you're in Ohio and you're looking for something to do this weekend, because it's going to be nice, I go out to Geauga County, drive around. There's lots to see, lots to do. And hey, if you're looking to move out that way, I know Geauga County fairly well. And even though I'm living in Lorain County, which is, you know, on the west side, I don't mind driving out there because I love it. I had such a great time going out there a couple weeks ago, and love it, love it, love it. And I hope you do too. And thanks for watching.